everybody, MntDewMania here. Welcome back to Vox Populi Diamond, and it is Friday here with me, MntDewMania. And if you keep up with me at all, you know that Friday is Redneck Rant Day, and we are in season 5 of Redneck Rants. And today we are on the letter L, and I've got kind of a controversial, ish, I guess, one today. You tell me. L is for labels, or labeling, if you will. And just so that we are clear about what we are talking about, the Handy Dandy Dictionary said, a short word or phrase descriptive of a person, group, intellectual movement. Okay? And I'm not talking about this is a pumpkin that is sand, that's labels. I'm talking about groups of people and how it is so easy to get just an absolute war going over the simplest things, and just downright nasty hate. And it's not sugar coated, it's not hidden behind anything else. It is just hate. And it all starts with, I don't know why us measly little humans think that we are just the end all get all of the universe, but apparently we do. So, for some reason, way back in probably caveman days, I don't know, somebody decided that there was a whole bunch of people and it was easier to group them all together into, something so we could put a name on it, and that way we could understand it. And then other people came along and they didn't like that idea. They thought it needed to be broken down even more and be more descriptive, so there were more groups with labels on them. And that way it was clearer about where you stood with your label. I am pro this, I am anti that, so I'm in this group. Well, no, I'm in this group. And then people decided somewhere along the line that even if we weren't part of something or we didn't have a label, we certainly needed one so everybody else in the world could judge us. So they just started putting people in any kind of group they wanted to, just so they could explain it to themselves. And I'm saying all this very sarcastically, with this little sneer on my face, because I guess I get it. I guess I do. If you are anti this or pro that, and somebody else is the same thing. Oh, I'm anti-fishing. We'll just try to keep it as calm as we can. I'm anti-fishing. It's wrong to catch raw fish because of whatever. It unbalances the ecosystem. Okay, so it's bad. Minecraft is going to suffer. So I'm anti-raw fish. Okay? And we all get together and we meet about this, and we decide to do a protest and get our needs known and our things known out into the rest of Minecraftia. And somebody comes along and they're not so, raw fish-ish. They're also a little bit puffer fish. Well, nobody doesn't know what to do about the puffer fish. They've never seen one. They've never heard one. They don't know what it is. They don't take time to find out what it is. But it vaguely has to do with fishing. So we're just going to make sure that we're just going to put them in. We're going to label them as a raw fisher. Well, I didn't say that. I said that I would. Well, no, no, but it's the same thing. Well, no, it isn't the same thing, and I don't want to be labeled as an anti-raw fisher when I'm not. I'm no, no, it's the same thing. Okay, and that's how things get started. I think we probably as modern adults, um, it's I guess how can I maybe I know when it started for me, and I'm going to freely admit I have probably labeled people just subconsciously, not even thinking about it. I tend to do that. I'm very OCD, so I like things in certain places. Uh, just from that perspective. And I mean, I'm probably prejudiced because I'm from the South, not so much against race, uh, probably because of politics are a big thing here, religion is a big thing here, and people can get stuck with labels, and it can get nasty and quickly, just like it can anywhere else. And when you grow up, you guys are a lot of you are a lot younger than me, and I grew up in a different era than you did. So hopefully, you guys are going to get a little smarter than what we were. God, I hope so. But it's, I guess, probably in grade school is when I first remember putting a label on somebody. And looking back, I didn't know that's what it was, but I was poor, dirt poor. I mean, I lived way out in the country, and I mean, I can vividly remember us having an outhouse for a long time. And we didn't have all the fancy clothes. They either come from a yard sale or they were hand me downs, or somebody gave them to. I mean, um, that was. I mean, but I didn't know that. Um, I knew we had big gardens, and I got to eat all the cool things out of the big gardens. I didn't know anything about restaurants or. I mean, this is a very small town I grew up in. Um, and we didn't go out to eat. Going out to eat meant going and sitting on the porch eating. That's what going out to eat meant. But I remember the first time I made a friend who wasn't from the country. Now, it did not matter that she was black. It mattered that she was from town. Okay? And that was, well, that's a whole nother thing. Um, because other people talked about people from the country. And I mean, it was, just, well, they were just trash. That's where the poor people live, out in the country, the farmers. And even being that young, I knew, you know, something was nasty and mean about somebody saying that. I guess I've always been sensitive to reading body language or innuendos or, things like that. But in high school, it gets worse. It probably did for everybody, does for everybody, because then you get the social labeling, um, jock and nerd and geek and and a dozen other uh, potheads and you know them all. And what is so funny is I knew a guy in school, and I always thought of him as just the biggest macho jerk jock that ever lived. after we got out of school, I found out that he absolutely hated playing football. He hated it. But his father had been a football player, and his uncles, and you know how it is in small towns. I mean, everybody's a foot. It's all about the football. So I mean, he had to play football. I mean, his daddy would have probably beat him or something, you know. Um, but he was labeled as a jock when actually he hated it. He hated being labeled for one thing, but he hated football. He wasn't a jock. He wasn't a, football is life and whatever. But it's just so funny. Let me date myself here, and a lot of you younger people will have to look this lady up. Martina Navratilova said, labels are for filing, labels are for clothing, labels are not for people. And that's true. I mean, probably more so then than it is now. It's just like, it's not saying that it's right. It's just, I don't know. We have come to this point where if we hate something, I don't know. Does it make it easier to hate if somebody has a label? Is that what it is? I don't agree with you, so I'm going to stick this label on you, and it'll be easier to hate you because you don't agree with what I think or you don't see things the way I see them. But if I put this label on you, then I get this stereotypical picture in my head, you know, and it's easier to just combine you with all the other things I don't like. I don't know. I don't know how our brains come up with this. Do we? Is it media? Do we let ourselves just be led that way? Are we conditioning ourselves to think like this? I don't know. Um, Octavia Spencer, another very fine actress, said, I'm not an optimist, I'm a realist. And my reality is that we live in a multifaceted, multicultural world. And maybe once we stop labeling ourselves, then maybe everyone else will. I don't know. That's a big maybe. I hate to tell you, girl, it is. Because I don't think that we could do it, to be honest with you. I think we need people in little slots and labels so badly. I don't know. Maybe the whole world is OCD and I just don't know it. Maybe that's what it is. And I can tell you also that I'm very guilty of doing it, though. I mean, I don't mean it mean, but to show you how putting a label on something makes it more comfortable for you. My son is autistic. He's a high functioning autistic, but he's autistic. And with that label, I think even in my own mind, I give allowances where I shouldn't. Meaning, I don't, probably his whole life, I haven't really pressed for him to excel at school. Or, because I got that picture in my head, well, he's autistic. And that word implies, that label implies that he can't do certain things or he can't function certain ways. So that's my excuse for when he doesn't do good in school. Well, he's autistic. Yeah, but he's not stupid. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that can play a video game one time and can remember 60 or 70 levels and tell you where every rock and tree and blade of grass is on every level is not dumb. Okay? um, school bores him. It's just, it's in his world. It's wherever he is, it's boring. You know what I'm saying? But that label is more for me than it is for him. Because once that label's there, there are certain aspects that are more comfortable or comforting for me than it is for him. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I think we put people in slots and we label them to make it easier on ourselves. Albert Einstein said, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid." Now think about that. I probably through my own stupidity, I have labeled my own son, not meaning to be a mean person, not meaning to be derogatory in any way, or to hurt him, or to be cruel or hateful, but I can rationalize it to myself saying, well, but I'm his mother and I'm protecting him because he's autistic. So, that's just the way it is, or that, you can't cure it, that, so you have to accept it. Well, there are different levels of acceptance. And I think when you don't want to deal with something because you don't like it, because it scares you, you don't understand it, you don't believe it, you don't believe in it, you don't support it, if you put the right label on it, then that justifies it. It's fine because it's a, or he's a blank, or she is a whatever. It's easy. It's easy on your own conscience. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's okay. It's okay if you don't like so and so because she's a blank, 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 or you don't like him because he does this, this, this. It's fine because we don't believe in that. We don't, we don't like those people. We don't like that group. It's justified, I guess, in our own minds. But I'm afraid that we are getting to the point where we are just getting just stupid. It's unreal how quickly we can slot somebody into a group or put a label on them just so we don't have to deal with it, or we don't have to like it, we don't have to understand it. It's just it's easy. It's easy and lazy and simple because we like it easy and lazy and simple. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to research it. I don't want to argue about it. I don't want to, have to defend it or whatever. So I'll just label it and stick it somewhere, and then somebody else can handle it, and I'll just be over here fishing. So yeah, I'm totally guilty of this one. I admit it. I'm not very proud of it, but I did want to give you a real example of how easy it is to want to label someone or something just because you don't understand it, or you're afraid of it, or you don't know how to deal with it. But if you put a label on it, somehow it's easier to deal with. And sometimes that can have disastrous results and can come back later to slap you in the face and cause a lot of harm to a lot of innocent people. So next time you get ready to slap a label on somebody or stick somebody in a little slot or in a group because you don't want to understand them or you don't want to take the time to learn about it, take a step back and go, no, wait a minute. What's really going on here? What's really, you know, how do I really feel about this, and why do I see this person this way? Just take a minute. It's not a big deal to rethink some things just because mom and dad said, or mom and dad always taught us, or my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, or whatever, whoever raised me, taught me, or my family believes. You need to believe your own beliefs. You know what I'm saying? You need to. We've talked about this before. You need to question everything. Uh, Everybody hates this group. Why? This person is a so and so. Why? Why is that a thing? Why does that have to be a thing? Why do I have to believe in that? Why do I question everything, especially when it comes to labeling people or, groups, and I mean, hating and just being blind for no reason other than that you're lazy and you don't want to deal with it. Okay? Alright, guys, that's it for now. Tell me, have you ever labeled somebody and found out later that you mislabeled them? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be curious to find out. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I will see you next Friday with another rant. And I think I'll stand here in the rain and do a little more fishing. I will catch you guys later. I am so out of here. Bye, guys.